What up, Southern? What up, Dan? What up, everybody? What up, third person watching? I wonder if it counts me as one of the people watching. No, I can't because I'm not watching, even though I'm watching. All right, Sophie. Latinida. Latinin. Latindian. 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 Latin Indian. Latin Indian. Is that what that's supposed to say? Latin Indian? What up, Vox? What up, Das? What up, Tito Diesel? Casadegi Diego? What up? Mac, what up? Sophie, what's going on? Reagan, I don't know what the debate topic is. Last time we debated communism versus capitalism, and I totally won. So whatever she wants. Philip, what's up? Lake Speed, what up? Discombobulated. Nice username. It's going good. What's up, Rob? Latin Indian, LOL. I can't believe I've been trying to pronounce that for a year and a half now. Can't believe it just says Latin Indian. Monkey 83, where's he at? We're debating Sophie if she comes on. Yo, send. Man, this was all her idea, so she better come on because I was taking a nice nap before this. Armchair Revolutionary, what's up? Good name. All right. Crash test dummy, huh? All right. This is going perfect so far, just like it always does. You know how it is. Kiss me. Well, what the hell, Sophie? Come on. San Joaquin Valley has been putting out some good memes lately. I'm just looking through the community page of my channel here. If the police don't want to be seen as an occupying army, maybe they shouldn't be flying their own flag. Cops playing. Uh-oh. Sophie's about to respond. I think this is actually LAPD headquarters bulletin. The LAPD is aware of possible First Amendment activity in the Los Angeles area over the next few days in coordination with the U.S. Secret Service. Additional uniformed personnel and other resources will be deployed to ensure the highest level of public safety because First Amendment activity. What else we got here? Oh, she was responding and then disappeared. Please let them know. St. Johns County. Oh yeah, this was St. Johns County. His sergeant was harassing some guy, and then he got into it with him when he shouldn't have even been bothering him in the first place. All right, I'll try calling. This is weird, dude. She was pumped about this. All her idea. I agreed to do it again. Ooh, asking people to spend the night. What's going on here? Hey, Soloyak. Sophie. Hello? Hello? What in the world is going on? So weird. All right, if she doesn't come on, you want to come on Southeastern PA Community Watch? Do a half hour or so, and then I'll have you on for like a full interview one day. Disband police. Use not Victoria. Hi. Jeremy Pavis, what's up? Sophie, what in the world? You just set me up to do a live stream and look bad? This was all your idea. Wow. I don't know why someone's saying she got yellow. I don't know why she'd be scared to the. She's done it before. That's weird. It's really weird. Oh, there we go. I want to answer. Hey.
Yeah, what up?
What's going on?
I'm here. Well, I'm kind of here. Are we doing this over the phone?
No.
Okay, because I'm checking my email. What am I looking for?
I don't have your email.
I sent it to you.
Through text?
Yeah.
The last thing I got from you is all right, bet. Yeah, that works.
That's weird because I sent you 2 texts. That's super fucking weird. I am so sorry about that.
That's all right.
I'm resending it now.
Hold on. Let me take you off speaker real quick.
Yeah.
All right, hold on here. Let me see here. Invite, email, Gmail. Okay. Who am I sending it to? Hello. What? Tell me your email.
It's Phoebe. PHO.
Mm-hmm.
EBE.
Mm-hmm.
Dot OPH IE at gmail.com.
Okay. Send. So I sent you the link.
Alrighty. Refresh my email. Sorry, technology is not my strong suit.
It's okay.
Click something.
Do approximately an hour. Does that work?
Yes.
All right, good.
Hey, I got a StreamYard link.
All right. See you in a minute.
Oh, we're cooking with fire. I'll see you in there.
All right, bye. All right, good. Good. So we're having no rulers, disband government, and our problems are solved. No, then we'd have to solve our own problems. Not our problems are solved. What's going on? What's up, KJV Saint for Life? Uh-oh. You eat a Dorito in preparation.
Good friend. Hello. Greetings. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. How about you?
Sweet. Great. Yeah, no, I'm awesome. Hey, is it okay if I restream this debate?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, bet. Yeah, I just didn't want to hit start streaming without asking you first. But yeah, how have you been? It's been like 3 years. What's up?
Are you Phoebe or Sophie? Why can't I ever get that right?
I think I'm Phoebe.
Okay, Phoebe. How
Yeah,
are
no.
you?
I think the first time we debated, you called me Chloe. I was like, well, that's also a
Dude,
pretty name.
I'm so sorry.
You're
I
fine.
don't mean it. I
You're
really don't.
totally chill. Yeah, no, everything's good with me. I've moved back into my childhood farm, the place I grew up on. It's not much, but it's 2 acres of arable land, which is more than most people in America have.
Your
So I'm really
childhood
thankful for
farm?
that. Yeah, my parents, after 10 years of divorce, ended up getting back together. They're not married again, but I don't know if they're actually going to be going that route this time anyway. So
What
it's
state?
pretty cool.
What state are you in?
Mississippi.
How you like it?
Well, I grew up here, so it's very familiar. It's like very good in that sense.
It's like the same
It's
city you went to school and have childhood friends and all that stuff.
I well, that's the thing. I was not a very sociable person when I was a kid, right? So I don't have any like childhood friends that I can like call up and hang out with. What I do have is a number of friends that I have made since I moved back to the area, which has been super cool.
What do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I play
Yeah,
guitar. Hey
you're
baby,
kidding.
hand me that case right there. I know I know the guitar's not in there, baby. I know that. I just want to see I just want to show him the case because I think it speaks for itself. Oh, yes. This is the case for my guitar. It's gone from Pismo Beach, California to Salisbury Beach, Massachusetts.
Do you play for money?
I used to. That's how I afforded to travel around the country.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm assuming you play 100 times better than I do.
Hey, probably not. Actually, I was only ever good at rhythm guitar, so I'm good at playing folk punk. I'm good at playing at rainbow gatherings and things like that. I am not good at like playing electric guitar. I'm not sure what type of stuff you play, but I'm not good at any of the like complicated stuff. I'm no Billy Corgan.
I basically know a blues scale and no
More than I
rhythm.
know.
All right. I don't know what we're debating about, but last time it was communism versus capitalism.
Right.
This time, I'll let you take the lead.
Well, one thing that I've kind of been wanting to hear your take on because I haven't been able to do many live streams. I feel like I look very strange in this shirt. Sorry, I haven't been able to see many of your live streams just because I've been so crazy busy over the last few days. I won't get into it because a lot of it's family matters, but um, I haven't seen because I kind of looked through some of your topical videos whenever I would have a moment, and I haven't seen you talking about what kind of has been the biggest news story of the month, and I kind of wanted to get your take on it. The Israel Hamas thing. What's your take on that? Just broad reaches.
Israel Hamas is something I've been studying since like 2003.
So you've got way more information about it than you. So I'm happy to
Like
talk to you
all the
about it.
stuff people are putting on the internet now, I've known and was posting. My own homemade website back then called politicalwatchdog.com, and the dog was spelled DAWG like Cleveland Browns.
I love that.
I would just post links on there, and one of the links was from Google Video. Remember Google Video, where you can actually get some truth? It
Oh
was
yeah.
it was a documentary called "Peace Propaganda in the Promised Land," and this was back in 04, 5, 6. I was posting that stuff. So the bottom line is that Israel's a colonial state occupied by uh, a Zionist Jews, which has nothing to do with the religion of Judaism. The movement was started in about 1880s, the late 80s, by
Right.
Theodore Herzl. He created a book called The Jewish State, and then started forming a Congress, so to speak. He was also funded by a Rockefeller who helped buy large swaths of land when they started immigrating over there. And over time, their immigration turned into hostilities with the locals because there was people living there already. So my take on it is England shouldn't. England, it didn't belong to England. There was already people there.
Right.
You can't go take over somebody's land with violence, and they're in the wrong. That's
Okay, well,
the simplest way I could put it.
all right, sweet. Actually, I thought for some reason we would have some disagreement on that. Um, but no, I think we stand
Why do
in
you
pretty
think I would
much.
disagree? Why?
I think because I kind of have a presumption, I think, with people that consider themselves more aligned with the right, that, you know, the I guess it's something, maybe this is just me copping out, but I feel like it's something that a lot of people fall prey to, that we kind of just assume that someone that considers themselves part of a given political ideology might also agree with the things that, say,
Oh,
some
yeah, but
ideologue that belongs to that party might be saying.
the thing with me is I'm on the right, so to speak, but Republicans are not on the right.
Right. You've always disavowed Republicans, which is one of the reasons I enjoy talking to you so much.
Sure. So, yeah, all these Republicans are like pro-Israel.
Right. Well, that's why I wanted to.
Almost every politician is an Israel first person because
Right.
if you
Even
don't
Bernie.
if you don't bow down to them and pay your dues and go to that wailing wall, you can't become president here. And if there's any politician who would even say the things I just said on TV, the American Israel Political Affairs Committee would quadruple the other person's campaign budget. They have extreme influence in this country, more than definitely should be for a place the size of New Jersey.
Right. So that's kind of like, and two, you touched on something there that I wanted to reply to, which is that no politician can get elected unless they pay their dues, go to the Wailing Wall, and align themselves with the state of Israel. It's very much like the way, no president gets elected in this country without placing their hands on the Bible and making some, vague gesture towards Christianity. It's one of those. It's one of those like kind of shows of political theater that the American people have kind of grown to require from our politicians. And I don't get why, because I don't think aligning ourselves with the state of Israel is a good idea geopolitically for the future or for now.
I agree with you there, but the problem is, and a lot of people are going to say it's conspiracy, but they have control of a lot of things. A lot of things in this country are controlled. Media
By the
outlets,
state of Israel or by Jews?
Zionists. See,
Zionist? Okay, that's,
see
hey, fair
Zion
enough.
again, people say just using the term Zionist eh, is anti-Semitic, and speaking against Israel, generally speaking, is anti-Semitic. And I'm not anti-Semitic. Some of my heroes were Jewish.
Right. One
Aaron
of my
Lewis,
best friends over the last 3 years was a Jewish kid born and raised in Massachusetts.
okay, the person who got me started in all activism is Jewish. His name is Erwin Schiff.
They have a tendency
Oh,
to do that. My Jewish friend is probably who got me started into activism as heavy as I am now.
all right.
Oh, I'm a member of the IWW now. That's a thing.
And then also it's convoluted because you know Jews have the right of return to Israel, and that means anybody who basically says they're Jewish can go there and live. But if you've lived there before, you've been displaced from there, you can't go back.
Right.
Where'd you go?
Oh, I just stopped my cam for a second.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
You're not anti-cannabis, are you?
No, not at
No, I
all.
just don't want to do it on your stream or mine.
That's fine.
But yeah, no. I was listening though. Well, I was listening, but then you asked me
So
where I went, and now I've
what do you
forgotten.
think the solution is?
What do I think the solution is?
Yeah,
I think that there are probably a number of diplomatic solutions that I have not even thought of that could be tried. I think the two-state solution is one of them. I
no.
don't know that it's that viable, but I think any solution is better than the bombing. But I know it's hard to say, this should stop, but not really have an idea of what should happen in the interim, right? Because we can't just leave it. I would love to say that we could just stop all American support to the state of Israel and things would, go on hunky dory for the people that live there. In general, I don't know that that's what would happen.
What do you
So,
think of one state solution?
well, I guess it would, honestly, well,
Israel
My
Stein.
politics have changed a little bit since we last talked. So at this point, I would say I kind of
That's
support
good.
like a no state solution in general. So I guess that would work for me. Yeah. Like, hey, one state is better than two states, right? In my view.
I
So yeah,
mean,
math wise, I
without
like that
one
better.
being better than the other, it's right now what Israel wants, and I should again, it's the Zionists, because not even all Jews agree with what's going on in their own government. There's a I think they're Hasidic or Sephardic or something where they won't even go to the mandatory military in Israel and they have to go to jail for 4 months instead.
Right.
So what was I getting at? What were we talking about?
We were talking about the so what could be a possible solution in the Israel Palestine
Also,
issue.
so I say make one state and everyone has the same rights, but Israel does not want that. They want
Right.
Israel only, special, and they have apartheid laws. Like they have special roads for Jewish people. They get special colored license plates, so only they can travel those roads. Uh, the Palestinians have to go through. It's horrible.
Right. It's universally horrible, and I think the people that are trying to make excuses for it at this point are some of the most monstrous people among us. And I like a one state solution. I think is the optimal solution. I guess the question I would ask then is, what ideally would be the governing body of that state? Would it be made up of? I would hope it would not be made up of former Israeli politicians. That would be my one hope for
Oh
it.
no! Like I said, it has to be a combination, like Israel Stein or something.
Right. Israel Stein
And
is,
then
it's an option.
and then the laws would just have to be uniform regardless if you're Jewish or not, and that's it.
Yeah, no,
Neither
I mean,
one
I think that,
neither one of them really want that. Uh,
right. I mean, that's kind of what I was going to mention. I don't like to bring it up because I do tend to agree that it paints the Palestinian people in a less than positive light, but it's not necessarily like the Palestinian people have been pushed so hard at this point over the last 100 years that I don't think they are willing to accept that anymore either, because I think that they've become so terrified of Zionist influence in their
what options
government
do
or
they
in
have
their
at this point? What options do they have at this point?
right.
They don't have a
None.
military. They're
Right.
boxed in. They don't get 3 billion a year from the United States.
Right. And something else, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but something that just occurred to me and I've been dying to talk to somebody about is is it just me? Is this just because I'm a kid of the 2000s, but I feel like I'm seeing a lot of parallels between how, when I was a kid, people talked about Afghanistan or Iraq, and how people are talking now about Israel and Palestine. Like that whole thing about Hamas supposedly having a giant, super complicated, sophisticated military base under the hospital, but yet every doctor in that hospital, including two Norwegian doctors who were, with Doctors Without Borders or something like that, just doing humanitarian work at the hospital, every single doctor that worked there denied the existence of such a base. The most they could ever prove was that Hamas leadership would occasionally be present at the hospital, which, yeah, there's probably Hamas fighters in the hospital being treated. I would imagine there's probably their leadership in there going to visit them. There was
Sure,
never any base down
Hamas,
there. I don't believe there's a base down there, but that's the same type of shit we heard about the mountains of Tora Bora.
right? Even if there's a base, you don't bomb a hospital.
Right.
You
Regardless of what's under it.
you go in there with soldiers and make sure it's a base, and then deal with it there on the ground. Not just dropping. No, all right. I don't mind talking about this, and I have a lot of opinions about it, but YouTube doesn't like people talking about Israel, honestly.
Right.
So I
It
hope
is
you
a
have less
touchy
stuff.
subject for sure.
Yeah, I'll talk about it for 7 hours, but I want to keep my platform.
Right, of course.
Right.
Well, I mean, I do have some other developments that are a little less touchy for sure. I
You're
mentioned a
not
minute.
so last time we debated you you had the communist thing going.
Right.
You're saying you've changed politically. What do you mean by that?
Um, I guess I've become kind of really what's happened is I've become disenfranchised with the left's ability to unite meaningfully over lines of distance and geography. So I've kind of become more of an anarchist because I think really what's probably what's probably likely going to happen in the next 50 years, say some crazy collapse happens, is that the reality of it is that human beings, when left to themselves without the assistance of technology and the infrastructure of modern civilization, they conglomerate into small groups, they share resources amongst one another, and they live out their lives the best they can. I imagine that's what's probably going to happen still. I just don't think leftists in America are going to be able to bring it about. I think it would probably be, probably be a better future, probably be a cooler society if Amazon, for example, was a place where, you didn't have to pay out the ass for every single item you get, where there was some sort of resource based economy where things were shared equally. I just don't think it's that feasible. And I think that has led me to become more of an anarchist because I've begun to put way more faith in people's ability to form coalitions in their own communities, the places they actually live, to form relationships with their neighbors, and I think that's what actually helps people. I think that looking
That's a
back on it,
big
when I,
180.
huh?
I said that's a big 180 from communism to anarchy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're on this. I don't know if I would define it as a complete 180. It's definitely one way to see it, for
I
sure.
mean, with anarchy, you can have voluntary communism, but
Right. Which
with
I think most
communism,
people would
kind
opt
of like we
into.
were talking about before, that's more of a at the point of a gun.
Well, I
So
think that Stalinist tendency you just touched on is another reason why I don't go around calling myself a communist anymore. Is because while I do fundamentally agree with the ideals of ownership of the means of production by the working class, while I fundamentally agree with the ideals of Marx, I do not agree with the ideals of Marxism Leninism. You know what I mean? I'm not an ML, and most communists are MLs and they're Stalinists, and
what's ML?
this is it's just lefty jargon for a Marxist Leninist, somebody like
Oh.
a proto Stalinist, basically. Basically, think a tanky before tankies were tankies.
Now, why can't MLs create their own community voluntarily? Why does it have to
I
be?
think they totally will.
Why does it have to be brought down by the government through the barrel of a gun? Why can't they? Let's say there's 50 MLs. They go by 50 houses on one street. They all live on the same street. They gate off the community. It's ML land. What's wrong with that?
I mean, I'm not an ML, so I would say, probably nothing. But just because I don't have a whole lot of emotional investment into the idea anymore.
All
Like
right. When you
simply
say anarchy, do you mean because as soon as mainstream politic people hear the word anarchy, they think you're a violent criminal.
right, of course, which is not. I'm a farmer.
Right.
That's what I mean. Honestly, if you want to know, and people listening, if anybody wants to know what I mean by anarchy, there's a song you can listen to, genuinely, not even shitting you. It's called For an Old Kentucky Anarchist. For an Old Kentucky Anarchist. It's by a band called The Orphans. And it's genuinely an amazing song. In fact, it's probably a song you could get away with playing on YouTube, but I don't have my setup available to even attempt it. So but the point is, I'm for anarchy in the form of people. Number one, I see some sort of collapse of the government coming at some point. Because I see a collapse of capitalism fundamentally coming, and the government and capitalism are, at this point, fundamentally, intrinsically interconnected in ways they cannot be extricated from one another without a collapse. And I think that the fact that it's going to happen anyway, yeah, there you go, you found it. But given that, I think I'm an advocate for people studying. I think people should start studying how people lived before there were roads between Atlanta, Georgia, and Memphis, Tennessee. I think people should start studying how people lived before you could go to Walmart and buy a bag of seeds and plant it in your garden. And I think people should start talking to their neighbors. And, maybe you should keep voting if you think it's going to help. But I don't think any energy should be spent on that anymore. I think energy should be spent rather, can't talk, I think energy should be spent on building coalitions within communities, within the people, the places people actually live, because I think humans are a cooperative species. Our history demonstrates that. I think if you give us the opportunity and the resources to share alike with one another and to, do things like that, I think if you give us the resources, we will help out one another. We will take care of one another. And if you've ever lived in a neighborhood with a really tight knit community where people looked out for each other, that's true, and I happened to grow up in one.
Mhm.
My neighbors would go off to vacation sometimes. He was a school teacher. Him and his wife and his kids would go off on vacations, especially in the summer. And they would let me, they would have me take care of their animals for them and everything, but they would let me take all the eggs while I was doing that. You know what I mean? Just a simple, I do this and I get this, and like the reason I find it so communistic, despite the fact that it is an exchange of labor for goods, is the fact that there was always that understanding that if we needed somebody to do the same thing, that we would have that courtesy from them. There was always the understanding that we were on the same place. That despite the fact that he was a school teacher that just kept chickens as a hobby, and we were farmers who kept them as our living, we were equals in one another's eyes because we shared geography and because we shared agricultural tips, things like that. Sorry, that was a rant.
That's all right. Let me answer this guy.
For
So he
sure.
says I sound silly about the Israel-Palestine thing. John Felix, what would you want your government to do if your whole family was either killed or kidnapped?
I'm so anxious.
Let me evaluate this question here.
Not really.
John, what would you want your government to do if your whole family was either killed or kidnapped? Well, the government failed. If that happened, the government failed already. So, and there's no solution to my family being killed or kidnapped, and government definitely didn't help them not get killed or kidnapped. And if I wanted the government to do anything, if my whole family was either killed or kidnapped, I would want them to go find my family and bring them back. What does that have to do with anything about Israel or Palestine? Did you get that?
I did not get that at all. I think
I think
maybe
you're
that's
trying to
another
say
dude.
October 7th, they went in there and killed and kidnapped families, right? So this conflict, like I said, didn't start on October 7th. They've been dominating and doing everything that you can blame on Hamas. Israel's done 1,000 times over to Palestinians first. Remember who was there first, okay? They're being colonialized. Palestine was colonialized by the Zionist regime, backed by American money and armaments. The aggressor is Israel, not the other way around. You're basically saying if a bully's beating on some kid at school and the kid finally grows the nuts to throw one swing back, he's the bad guy for swinging back. That's what you're saying right now, because it didn't start October 7th. It started in the 1890s. All right, especially in 1948 when they just the Israeli Congress just declared that area the state of Israel. That's
Right, just declared by fiat that
not
this
how it
is
works.
Israel.
Yeah, in 1948, they just said, "Oh, we're the state of Israel now." All right, sorry, I had to answer that
No,
guy.
you're totally fine. It's just, yeah, it makes me think you really got to keep your nose out for propaganda these days, because there are people that are looking to use literally anything to justify the mass bombing of civilians in Gaza. Literally anything. They are down to use any excuse.
They want that land.
Yeah, people are desperately, and
All right,
you know
here
what?
we go. See, this is fine. Israel existed long before 1948. No, I'm sorry, sir. The state of Israel was formed, I think, May 15th, 1948. And
If
before
I
that, it was
remember
called
correctly, yeah.
Palestine. Before that, it was called Palestine. And the only Israel before that was Jacob Israel, who changed his last name from something else to Israel. Israel was never considered a landmass. I don't know where you. That's just the thing. They've muddied the waters so bad on Israel. A guy like me, literally, who's done hundreds of hours of research on the subject, I know what the hell I'm saying is true. I gotta constantly hear stuff like that, and it's annoying.
I
All
mean,
right.
maybe that's something we could talk about. It's not as touchy. It's a little more vague. It's just like the
What's that?
post-truth world we live in. Like people, like what you just said. You you know, you could kind of be considered a bit of an expert, like a homegrown expert in this topic. You know what I mean? You've demonstrated your knowledge, at least to me, in this stream so far.
I
And
know
you
more
know,
than the average
I,
person.
right, exactly. You know far more than me, and you know, I like to think that I know a tiny fragment more than the average person. And you know, in regards to things that I actually have, you know, extensive knowledge in, I feel like I'm constantly seeing just outright lies being spread all the time.
It's because there's records going all the way back to Egypt. Yeah, there's records of Jewish people going back thousands of years, but no Israel.
Yeah,
Come on,
there was
dude.
a
See, what are we talking about here? Israel, the state of Israel was declared on in 1948. There was no land called Israel before that.
they
That's the
think that
fact. If you keep arguing that, you're just making noise out of your face. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you're totally fine. Go off on them, get them. But like fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say.
I'm
No,
sorry.
I
I'm
think I was
sorry.
gonna say like people keep referencing this idea that Israel existed long before 1948. No, the biblical Israel did not exist. Ransom. The
That's
biblical
the Israel. That's a
right,
person.
right,
That's a
exactly. The
person. Jacob Israel.
right, and
And his
even if
brother
there
Esau,
was
and his brother was named Esau. And if you look at Christian identity, which is like a radical Christian sect here in the United States, they believe that Jews are the descendants of Esau, and white people were the descendants of Jacob. So even that's convoluted and muddy. But the
right,
fact is, there's no land of Israel before 1948. Again, I'm sorry. I get
no,
riled up about that subject.
no, you're totally fine. It's just I think it's because having to constantly disprove bullshit or try is hard. There is no biblical record, Ransom. I'm
Cite
sorry.
the record. Put the record that says there was the land of Israel. And if it does say the land of Israel, it's saying the land of Jacob Israel, where they did their things in Jerusalem and they had their temple there. They were there, but there was no state of Israel that's a Zionist, colonial Zionist creation and manifestation in 1948. All right, sorry.
You're totally fine. I just
I
had a
hope I'm
thought.
done.
Huh?
I hope I'm done.
Hey, I hope you're not. But I had a thought that you just helped me encapsulate, and I have to say it. You know, these it hasn't occurred to them yet, but these super pro-Israel people, especially the ones that are American, are putting them in
Mhm.
are putting themselves in a horrible position ideologically because they've got to somehow defend like they've basically got to defend the right of colonialization. You know what I mean? Like they've got to def- so you know, it has become even among most, I would say, right-wing people, it has become pretty popular in the United States to believe that, you know, that like Europeans done fucked up this country when we come here. You know what I mean? That we could have done some shit better at the very least. And you know, that's a pretty widespread viewpoint among most everybody I talk to that, you know, land reforms should happen, you know, not everybody's land back, but how is there such a giant mass of people in America both supporting Israel's right to bomb the fuck out of Palestine until it's theirs, but also thinking that we should like why is there any impetus for us to treat the Native American people better here at home if we're not going to advocate for that policy with our client states abroad? Like it just seems like this giant hypocrisy in
So
our
since you're
society.
saying since we give reparations and special consideration to indigenous American Indians here, we should have the same policy for our allies.
Well, I'm
And
saying that
since
we should if we're gonna if we are I think if we're going to advocate against colonialism and act against colonialism at home, it behooves us to act against colonialism abroad. I would, and I'll put it in much simpler terms. I would rather than American tanks rolling out of Israel into Palestinian land, I would honestly rather American tanks be rolling somewhere else and maybe another direction. You know?
What do you
I'm
mean?
just not
Here
going
in
to
the
say any
States?
more than that.
Here in the States?
No, I was saying we should roll tanks on Israel. I just didn't want to say
Oh,
it outright. Yeah, I didn't want to say it
I
outright
got
because it's
you.
a touchy subject, you know?
If you're saying we the states, it's never going to happen.
Well, of
Basically,
course
Israel's the
not.
51st, second, third state at this point.
Right. Right. Of course it's never going to
Uh,
happen.
the amount of money we've given to Israel could solve almost every homeless problem we have in this country,
Guaranteed.
for sure. When David rebuilt the temple, what was the area called by name? When David rebuilt the temple, what was the area called by name? I'm not
Did we have
sure.
a did we have a trivia question in the chat?
Hmm? I don't know about that one.
I think he's trying to bait us into
Israel has
saying it
their
was
own
Israel,
tanks.
but
The Merkava 4 may be only worse to Abrams. Yeah, that's the American taxpayers pay for all their tanks, all their bombs, all their missiles, all their Iron Dome missiles, all their everything. And it
from
doesn't matter. The Jew, what was it? 136 AD when they got expelled the second time, and
right,
since
yeah,
since,
around there.
since 136 AD till now, it's been Jews, Christians, and Muslims living there in peace up until the Zionist colonials movement started. They were all living there. They were babysitting each other's kids. They were living lives. They were getting along with each other. It's not until they brought force of the British government in there and armies to defend the Zionist colonialist movement. These are not just Jews. It's a total Zionism and Judaism are not the same. All right,
Right.
I'm having a debate with Richard. All right, Richard, I'll have you on one day. Let us move on past the Israel stuff. So
Yeah.
as far as let me ask you what kind of like you farm for a living?
So I consider myself philosophically a farmer, but right now all we have is chickens. When the farm was running up and good before, everything happened, my parents got divorced, we moved up to Missouri, yada yada. We had chickens, geese, ducks. We had basically every kind of poultry except turkeys. We didn't have a flock of turkeys back then. We had a couple of horses, a milk cow, and a calf, of course, running around. And basically, what we used to make living off of back then, because farming in America, especially if you're a small farmer, you've got to find some niche to fit into. You're never going to make enough just selling at the farmers market if you're just growing vegetables. Like, that's just not enough of a niche. It can be one of the things you do for a revenue stream, but what we mostly did was we bred a shit ton of chickens, and we would sell a shit ton of eggs, but we'd also sell a shit ton of chickens. Mississippi's got a lot of really pretty based and relaxed laws when it comes to, farming your own goods, selling your own product, etc. And so that's the ideal right now. But until we reach that point again, I work at a Taco Bell. But hey, you know what? I still get to hear a chicken crowing every day, and it's still even looking at it now, it's night here. Obviously, I couldn't show you around even if I wanted to. I'm on a PC, but it's all grown up now. But I wish I could show you guys pictures of what this stuff looked like when I was like 14,
Well, your farm?
13. Yeah, yeah, because we had everywhere you looked, there was some sort of life that we were deriving some value from. Guineas that we were using for meat and eggs. Well, not really eggs. Guinea eggs aren't really big enough to eat unless you gather a whole lot of them. Or ducks. Duck eggs are great. Ducks are okay to eat if they're done right, and if they're done really perfectly, they're fucking the best thing you'll ever eat. But if they're done wrong, they're so awful.
The eggs or the meat?
The eggs are routinely delicious unless somebody just fucks up the egg. But hey, a chicken egg's gonna taste shitty if somebody burns it. But yeah.
So is your family farmers? Chicken
Yeah.
farmers not?
Yeah, well, I mean, the
Somewhat?
emphasis on chicken farming, I think, is mostly a response to the economy over the last 20 years. But um, No, we've been farmers on this particular patch of land. It's way smaller than it used to be. On the original purchase that was, that my family made in, I think, the 40s, it was something like 100 acres. And then pretty early on, it got, half of it got sold, the back half or whatever, because it just wasn't being used. We just weren't a big enough family, I guess, or whatever. I wasn't back around then, and this is all family stories. But, and since then it has been winnowed away at, and more has kind of been sold off and stuff, and times of great need, to the point where now all we have is 2 acres, and my great papa and his old place where his trailer is. He's obviously dead now. He's long dead. But my great granduncle lives there. I don't remember if he's my great granduncle or just my granduncle. Whatever. He lives there. And it's that, like his part of the purchase and its remains kind of adds like another acre and a half onto what we're able to take care of. So it adds up being to about like 3 acres worth of arable farmland.
That's awesome. Somebody's saying, can I propose it? Do you have any other political topics before this guy gives us one? Victor, go ahead,
I
give us
sure
something.
don't.
Oh, man.
I sure don't. I mean, I could come up with one, but I mean,
Man,
hey, if
in
he's
my
got a
head,
good
I
one.
pictured you at home with a 5-subject notebook saying, I'm going to get this guy.
No, honestly, I guess I've kind of grown weary of the debate bro thing. So I still like having debates, but I really more like having conversations. I like getting
Yeah,
into a
that's good.
conversation with somebody I disagree with like a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because then it gives me the opportunity. Like you're a perfect example of that, because we disagree enough to where, you know, every so often we have a wildly, radically different take on something, but we don't disagree so much that I leave the conversation feeling like, did I just talk to a Nazi? You know what I mean? Never in my
Last
life
time
would
got a
that
little
ever
heated.
happen, you know?
Last time got a little heated, but it was fine.
Do what?
Uh, Last time it got a little heated, but it's all good, man. You see
I
the one
think
I did
last
with
time
Big
it
Nick?
got heated because I came in with that attitude, honestly.
Hey, man, I used to vote Republican.
Hey, I used to vote Democrat.
There you go. We both learned.
We both
Okay,
learned. Exactly. We got better. We recovered. I don't know. I'll probably be voting third party, or, quote unquote, throwing my vote away this year.
yeah,
But
I've been throwing my vote away like that for years. So here's a topic: drug companies, ad revenue involvement with mainstream media. You go first.
drug companies, wait, give me that again.
There you go.
Drug companies, ad revenue involvement with mainstream media. Okay, yeah. So you're talking about like these big pharma companies advertising on things like cable TV and Hulu, Netflix. I even see the ads still, like prescription pill ads, things like that. I think it's horrible. It's one of those. It's terrible, right? It's one of those things, though, that I have a complicated opinion about, because I don't really know what to do about it. Right? I'm anti-censorship as a rule. I don't think that we should put a gun to these people's heads and tell them you're not allowed to advertise that way. I do think it's incredibly sinister and pernicious. And that makes me think that we really do need to figure out some way to curve it. And,
You know they don't. You can't have cigarette commercials on TV.
right. So we got rid of that.
Now, why is it okay to not be able to advertise cigarettes, but you can advertise drugs with side effects like shift work disorder, suicidal tendencies, and the list goes on for 30 seconds. What bothers me more than the big pharma advertising with all these mainstream news is it's hard to be objective news, especially if something happens with the drug companies or something nefarious going on with the drug companies. You're not going to expose your own sponsor, first of all. Um, Secondly, with all the sea bug virus stuff going on and them selling all these jabs, not one of them, and none of them are against war because they're also funded by weapons manufacturers. All right, next subject.
Hey,
All right, what's really under Trump's comb over?
what's really under his comb over?
Yeah.
The answer to life, the universe, and everything. We just got to get
I'm
to
gonna
it.
say some sweaty hair follicles and some hot mustard from McDonald's. All right, so
Some very
so
old hot mustard from
let's see
McDonald's.
what else. Civil asset forfeiture.
Civil
You go.
asset forfeiture? Okay, so that's like when you're fucking like you're going to buy a car with cash and cops pull you over, they see it and they search your car, they see it in your bag, and they're like, this is drug money. You're
Yeah.
fucking hauling drugs, taking your money.
Yep.
I think every cop that commits it should be hanged in the public square. Pretty much how I feel about it. I guess I oppose it. Like, I think it's one of the most evil, sinister things that our government gets up to. It's literally
It's
highway
literally
robbery.
terrorism. It's terrorism.
It
Literally.
literally is. It's terrorism that you can't fight back against, less the federal fraud, like less the federal rap. You know,
Now, civil asset forfeiture had to be written down on paper, come from somebody's mind, through their arms, through their pen, onto the paper, and they were writing this and going, this is great. Someone has too much money on the side of the road. We'll just steal it. And then they'll have to prove if it's their money and what they were going to use it for. We don't have to, no burden of proof is on us. And if we turn this over to the feds, then they'll kick back 75% of it. This is great, man. I can't believe I didn't write this. How does that happen in this country that someone can write that down on paper? We give cops the right to literally steal your money on the side of the
literally
road.
rob you. Yeah, literally, unironically rob you.
I mean, they're already doing it with the tickets, but this is like, man, this tickets is just there's too much stuff in the way of us and the people's money. The whole court ticket, conundrum, the
Right, it's too
rigmarole.
complicated.
Why don't we just take their money straight from their possession?
Right. We
All
don't
right.
have to go through. We don't go. We don't have to go through the hullabaloo of seeing if this person's actually going to show up to court and issuing a warrant if they don't, doing all
I
that
would just steal his
paperwork.
money.
Just take their money. They've got $2,000 laying here. What's it? What, you gonna buy a little Honda with that? Yeah, come on. You didn't really need that, did you?
I got to research who passed those laws and put them on blast.
You real dude, I'll share the video because
Okay.
I dead ass. That's, I'm not gonna say it's one of my token issues, because it's just one of those things in America nobody even talks about. We all just seem to passively accept that it happens. Not all of us literally, but we all just seem to passively accept that it happens, but don't. There never seems to be any political advocacy to stop it. So, but it's one of those things I feel super passionately about because, as a person that lived on the road out of the back of a van and with a guitar power in my fucking gas pedal, I fucking there was very much times when I was afraid, like if I get pulled over, I just made $300 at this downtown area, this sitting in front of a bar or something.
That's
What if I
great.
get pulled over
You
and
sing?
this? Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, then you get stopped on the way home and you get. That's how I feel about speeding tickets. I worked all day. Now I just got a $250 speeding ticket. That's more than I make in a day. You basically robbed me of a day's worth of my efforts. All
right.
right. This who is this person? This is Phoebe. We had a debate, I don't know, a year plus ago about communism versus capitalism. She wanted to have another debate. It's turned into a nice conversation more than a debate. So you guys are now giving us subjects to talk about. Civil asset forfeiture was the last one. I'm going to scroll through and see if there's anything good. Let's see. School. She identifies as a female for the people asking. School staff ignore the First Amendment constantly. I said a slur outside of school, and the
Yes,
video
they do.
got leaked. Huh? Okay. Oh, I should just put the comment up. School staff ignore the First Amendment constantly. I said a slur outside of school, and the video got leaked, and I got in trouble because it made others feel unsafe at school. Thoughts? Thoughts are schools are indoctrination brainwashing centers, and you shouldn't be going to one if you can learn the things that are taught there, the good things that are taught there in any other manner whatsoever. No, you shouldn't get in trouble for any kind of speech unless you're threatening to kill somebody. There's got to be some exceptions. Uh,
Fire in a crowded theater, right?
but you can actually say fire. It's the fact that you caused alarm is that the thing. If I
Right,
ran in there naked, it would cause the same alarm.
right.
So that's how I feel about that. It's
Um.
unconstitutional. Schools are garbage. Go ahead, Phoebe.
Oh yeah, no. I want to. I kind of like this comment. I kind of want to reply to it. Especially because I think that I'll probably, I don't know, I'll probably surprise some people with my take on it. Um, I definitely don't think you should have gotten in trouble. Like, I don't, honestly, hot take, I don't think you should get in trouble for saying a slur at school, as long as whoever you said a slur to can say some vicious, edgy shit back. Like, I think it should be like, if we're gonna have schools, if we're gonna have places where teenagers are conglomerating together to learn stuff, I don't think it behooves us to put a bunch of language controls on them, because the adult world is not full of those language controls. It's not going to give you that option. People are going to say slurs at you in real life.
Don't you have to
It's going to
maintain
happen.
a
It's happened to
don't
me, you
don't you have
know?
to maintain an environment though?
Do what? Have to maintain
Don't
an
you have to
environment?
maintain a civil environment? Because they're
Right,
all
which
gonna be
is
seeing each other every day, and if one person around is going, "You F word for gay people," and the other person's around saying the N word to other people, it's gonna turn physical.
well, I think that I mean, I guess let me rephrase that. Let me clear up it, kind of add some nuance. Obviously, if kids are getting into verbal altercations, I think that should be broken up to the best of the staff's ability in general. I just don't think that the one who said the F slur or the T slur, which is the one I've probably heard most commonly in the last 3 years. I don't think that person should get sent to extra detention for it,
No,
because I don't think that. I think honestly, all that does, my opinion on it these days, is that all that does is reinforce what I think is kind of a victim complex that a lot of these people already have. They already feel like they're not allowed to say these things. If you Reinforcing that's one of the worst things you can do. Honestly, treating it like they're just an edgy kid is the best thing you could do for it.
next subject.
Next subject. Does voting work? If so, how? No, no. It just flat out doesn't. Look at the last 50 years of American history to see how voting doesn't work.
You think we've had fair elections in the past 50 years? First of all, is there such thing as a completely fair election?
No, no.
Okay.
I mean, I
Now,
don't think there can
now,
be.
what percentage points would you say is corrupted, or I guess you would say corrupted?
Like, how
I'm gonna say any presidential election, not anyone specific, but how much?
how much corruption do I think is in the voting?
Yeah.
Okay, I would say probably like an average 10%. I don't think it's like a super
Wow.
rampant issue. I think it's probably happening, but not quite on the scale that either of them. And the reason I think that is because I think, like, I just see both of the parties bringing it up every time they lose an election. You know what I mean? And I've just seen it so many times at this point that I'm like, I feel like if it was happening at the levels that it really is, one of them would have done something about it. You know what I mean?
Well, now
In
now
their favor.
everyone's screaming stolen election now.
Right.
Uh,
Everybody.
Both parties did it. When Trump got elected, the left did it crazy, and when he didn't get elected, the right went crazy.
Honestly,
So,
that was I think that election was the first election I voted in. It was also, I think, the first kind of moment of my life when because I was always raised in a pretty, I guess you could say, a liberal slash progressive kind of household. My dad considers himself a conservative, but I think that's more of a series of fiscal positions for him. Socially, he's incredibly liberal. Um, and my mom is that way, but even fiscally. And so I was always I was bound to be a lefty, right? But I think that was the moment when I realized I was kind of not necessarily in step with the mainstream of the American left, was when people were screaming about Donald Trump stealing the election. And I was like, I was looking at the numbers, and I was studying election corruption history in the past, and I was like, I don't really think he did. I think he kind of just got, like, I could find 100 more reasonable explanations to why Trump won in 2016. Chief among them being that Hillary was an unelectable war hawk, that explained Trump's or victory in that year far
yeah,
better.
it's not that she was horrible. It can't be that.
Right. Right, which is why the election fraud narrative became so popular. It's
And that's
because
when that whole fake news thing started too. It started on the left, and then it was co-opted by the right.
Right. I mean, I tend to agree with that. Honestly, I wasn't even necessarily the left, unless you're talking about like the broad left, which I guess most people are. The hardcore activist left always hated Hillary Clinton, but it was the liberals that make up the vast majority of what we would consider the broad American left
Do you
loved
like
her.
Jimmy Dore?
And do what?
Do you like Jimmy Dore?
Do I like Jimmy Dore? Mm, Not so. I mean, I like some of his positions. I don't watch him very much, but I don't like the whole vaccines or evil thing, just because I tend to oppose that in general. But it doesn't mean I dislike the guy.
Okay. See what else we got here. Oh, one last thing about voting.
Alrighty.
We all have phones now.
Yeah.
If an agency, not a government agency, a trustworthy agency, don't ask me how we make them trustworthy, controlled secure software, and all we had was an app. You get one vote connected to your phone. You got to verify it's you. It's all got to be secure, and you get one vote. And that's how elections should be, in my opinion. We have the technology. There's uh, millions more people would vote. That's another thing they're scared of. They don't want everybody voting.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're talking about is it's something I was talking about literally when I was 18, voting for Gary Johnson. That was his name, right? That libertarian that ran in 2016. That was
Oh
the
yeah,
same thing I was talking about. I was like, it's kind of absurd that I have to drive up to, and it wasn't a far drive. It was literally just right up the road to the voting booth. But it was just, I had a smartphone at that time, and I was like, I remember thinking, why is it so necessary for me to drive up there? Like, why isn't there an app? And that was in 2016. It's now 2023, and there's been no major movement on this
they
in
don't want it.
America, but I think it's the best way to do it. And I think you're exactly right. They don't want it. They don't want total enfranchisement because they know that the fucking actual corrupt politician, they know that the good few among them will actually start to win elections consistently regardless of their fucking gerrymandering bullshit, and they don't want that to happen.
What would you think if there was 6 parties instead of 2?
I would love that. I think the more parties the better. I think because you know what, corporations have fucking special interest groups. God damn it, why can't a citizen? You know what I mean? Like, fuck it.
Here's a
If you want to have the pothead party, I'll join it. Fuck it. I'll give you a vote. You know,
I'll
like
be
I
your
think more
VP.
parties the better.
Yeah, I agree. Who'd win in a fight between Anderson Cooper and her brother, Ellen? Ellen
Fucking
DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGenerate, bro. Um,
I think,
Anderson Cooper wins. He's just way bigger.
yeah, it just takes a little bit of the. I don't know if he's way bigger, but maybe he has a little more muscle tone.
Right. Right. I mean, exactly. Ellen is just a little wisp of a man, according to this dude, I guess.
Do you know about the Fed being private and inflating money and all that stuff, and that we should get rid
Yeah.
of it?
I
Okay, good.
mean, in general, yeah, I would say, but yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff I could just loop into being an anarchist in general, though. Like, yeah, like I oppose currency, so I would have to oppose the Fed, even if I didn't oppose it for independent reasons.
Mac McDougal's really hung up on your. Go ahead,
Was
answer him
Stevie
so
a
so
boy
he
or
can
a girl
stop
in first grade? Is this what passing feels like?
asking. You happy now, Mac? I don't know. Third,
I was a
third
dude
life.
in first grade. Why do you want to know? Do
I
you?
don't know.
That's just
I,
such a
I'm
weird
assuming.
question, man.
I'm assuming he doesn't like the way you're living right now. But who cares?
Probably.
Being
I mean, I
presented
think
a
they're
curriculum and being educated are two different things. Kids only fight online these days, or are they? Oh, you mean instead of physically? Yeah, I've been holding my tongue. LOL. Okay, go ahead. You don't have to hold your tongue. Just don't be nasty. There's no reason for that.
say what you want. I ain't reading the
Phoebe can
chat. No
take
way.
it. I'm sure she's had this done to her and
Oh
sent to
yeah.
her, and I'm sure she's heard it all, especially on the internet. All right, Richard says if Trump had accepted mail-in ballots, do you think the outcome could have switched? What's funny about the mail-in ballots that year is I would always do a mail-in ballot actually, my wife and I, and that year for I don't know what reason that year we got 2 mail-in ballots in the mail.
Weird.
It was weird, and I only voted once. Not only that, during when I went to the post office that year to mail off a ring, they were telling me there was something weird going on with the ballots. I wish I could remember because it struck me so weird. I've never seen it before. Okay, presidents are selected by the Jesuit order long before that they enter office. That might be true, but I have no way to prove that. Jason D. Oh man,
Right.
Mac,
That's what.
Mac, calm down, dude. I'm sorry you don't like the way she carries herself. Jeez, relax. Hi, Victor.
That's.
Both
I
parties are skull and
apologize, Mac.
bones. Huh?
I said I apologize, Mac.
It's all
I'm not
good.
sure what I did to offend thee, but
Yeah, you know how some people are. Who cares? Don't forget the falling Chad. Oh yeah, the falling Chad. You probably don't know about falling Chad. How old are you?
Uh, not old enough to know about falling Chad. I guess I'm 25.
I think they were actually called the hanging Chads. You know what that is?
No,
Okay, so
lost.
in the year 2000, it was Bush versus was it Bush Gore versus Al Gore, and Al Gore was pretty much winning, and I guess it was so close in Florida that there was a big election hubbub because the paper ballots had these little pieces of paper that stuck out called Chads, and they got miscounted somehow, and it was it was like the hanging Chad, the
Oh,
hanging
the
Chad fiasco, so to speak.
right. The hanging Chad debacle. That is
The only thing
insane.
the only thing I learned from there is those things are called Chads, which is weird.
Right. Right. I never knew that the word Chad had a utilitarian function at all.
No. Let's see. Democrat and Republicans are two wings of the same demon. I always say in the same bird flying in the same direction, but I'll go with demon. 100%
I
corruption.
like your metaphor better.
Election. John Felix, both parties are in the same secret society, Skull and Bones. I can believe that.
See,
Well, go ahead.
I want to reply because that's the second type of comment like that we've gotten in a row, not in a row, but in the last like 5 minutes. And I just that is the type of conspiracy stuff that I kind of scratch my head and wonder at. It's not the when people say like, Bush did 9/11, it's like, I mean, he definitely knew about it and definitely didn't do shit to prevent it, and didn't, you know what I mean? Like there's some conspiracies about American life and history that aren't really conspiracies. They're just facts that the average person doesn't know because they're things the CIA declassified quietly in 2008, It's like there's a whole lot of shit out there that really is true, that is sinister, that like let me put it this way, both parties don't have to be in some crazy secret society Illuminati bullshit party to be sinister, horrible capitalist nightmares that are hell bent on the utter control and domination of every single person in America. Like they are hand in glove with one another, and that can be so without the Illuminati. And so whenever someone starts complicating things by adding all of these secret societies and things like the Jesuits and stuff, I always get a little wary because I'm like, why does it need to be that complicated? Because you can see the corruption. You can read about it. It's out there. Some of them have admitted it and talked about it. You know what I mean? You can watch
Well,
documentaries about it.
Bush and John Kerry, I think the very following election, both of them were skull and bones men, and I guess the mathematical probability of both of them being uh,
Right.
presidents running against each other in an election is so slim. So, but the thing is, you can't. There's nothing rock solid about that. It's just it could be true. It might be true. It's probably true, but you can't really nail it down like you can something like the Bohemian Grove. We know the Republican Party would go there and they would do all kinds of not heterosexual things
Right.
in the California redwood forest. It's on video, and they hear them talking about it, and it's all the past presidents. Also, one of the Supreme Court justices, Sonia Sotomayor, was part of a group called the Belizean Grove, which was lesbians go to this grove place and do similar things. She dropped out of the group before she took her SCOTUS seat. All right, so next question. Police unions, internal investigations, qualified immunity.
So, as a member of a union, the Industrial Workers of the World, for anyone who's curious, this question is a fascinating one. The IWW specifically does not, we actually won't take on police or correctional officers as members in the IWW, specifically because the union movement is fundamentally a workers' movement, and police unions are it's basically a way for the gang of state thugs to co-opt a fundamentally leftist and fundamentally, honestly, working class, common person kind of ideal and ideology and mindset, and turning it against those very people. So it's like if every bandit in Skyrim, I'll just use this metaphor because every person my age and usually about 10 years up and younger, has played it. It's like if every bandit in Skyrim allied with one another. If instead of meeting randomly on a trail and fighting with one another, they're like, oh, sweet, we've got a bigger party now. Let's keep going. It's like that, right? You don't want that. You would, if you were the Dragonborn in Skyrim, you would find who the president of that, bandits union was, and you would assassinate them. You'd Fussrodaw them off of a cliff, and that would be the end of the bandits union.
I'm
And
gonna
I
take
think
your
the
word
same.
for that because I have no clue that reference you made. I thought you were speaking Russian for a second, so
I'm sorry. I
that's all
didn't.
right.
You don't strike me as a Skyrim player, so I didn't think you would get it. But I think there might
Skyrim,
be some people in your audience that will.
Skyrim,
Skyrim, yeah. Oh, I feel like
S
such a
K
kid right
Y
now.
R U M R I M.
It's Skyrim. Yeah, like sky, like
What is that?
the
A
sky, and then rim,
multiverse
like the rim of
multiplayer
a boat.
online thing?
It's it's a game. It's a Bethesda game. Came out in 2011. Was like massively popular with like basically everyone who was like 13 to 18 at that time, and it was
What
2011.
year was
So
that?
2011.
So 2011, I was in my 30s. What was I
Yeah, see,
doing?
that's not as far away from you as it is from me. That's weird. That's the weird thing about talking to somebody who's a different age demographic than you. I don't know if it feels weird to you, but it always feels weird to me because for me, 2011 might as well have been in the 1900s for me. It might have have happened in the Great Depression. Like
Why?
that's how distant it seems from my life at this point. But for you,
Why?
I don't know. It's just I imagine it will feel like
To me, the year 2000 was yesterday.
right, exactly. And that's I guess that's
Until I
so
look at my
strange to
gray
me.
hair, until there's actually people out there who've never heard of Michael Jackson, that scares me the most for some reason. Um, yeah. Next
It will
subject.
be a
Let's see.
scary day
You see, see how fast an hour goes by when you're just having a nice conversation. Let's do one or two more,
for sure.
and we'll call it. And we can do this again. We could also do reaction videos where we're both like this on the side and react to something.
I would love to do that sometime with you, man. That
All
would be
right.
amazing.
All right. So this guy says Ron Paul. Yes, that was my favorite politician of all time.
Ron Paul's
100%.
I
How about a passport to vote?
no.
That seems
Unless
like
the
it could be
government's gonna
tampered.
provide them for free.
You guys don't like my uh trustworthy application to app? You need to vote in person in Norway as well. Well, if they can't make a perfect app, like I'm saying, yes, everyone needs to walk down to a thing and put in one paper ballot. But then again, all them boxes filled with ballots, where do they go from there? That's the chain of custody is so important. If anything, a new shift of workers should come in and just count them on a live stream. That would be, and have a little tally. Boom, 1, 2, 3. That would be the best thing. Completely open, transparent.
That would be ideal, yeah.
Oh, I was already been voted for, unless he's talking about you. All app and software can be corrupted. There's no such thing as impenetrable, secure. I mean, the military's got to have systems that are next to impossible to penetrate. Like, there's
Right.
got to be a system.
Well, the evidence for what you're saying is just borne out in the continued security of America. Like the fact that America hasn't been randomly hit by no more 9/11s since 9/11 kind of proves that the military and likely the government at large has access to incredibly well secured, well guarded, and well encrypted systems that they are using for the most
And you know
vital
they're using the
technologies.
internet, and you know they're using applications. Let's see here. What do you think about Vivek Ramaswamy? I love him. I love him. I love him. I love him. How about you?
Um, well, I like his personality. I will be honest and say I don't know enough about his politics to know whether I like him or don't, but
He,
I know I heard him talking about war the other day and I liked what I heard.
he's a
Um,
lot like me.
right. And that's kind of but I will say this much, guys. I don't think anyone running on the like I think it's going to be Joe versus Trump again, honestly. I don't think
We'll
any of
see.
you know, the mainstream kind of comer ups. I don't think they're going to make it, but I hope if any of them make it, I hope it's Vivek.
Here's a good one. Those in
So
power
far,
don't
anyway.
deserve it, and those who deserve power don't want it. That is so true, and that goes for your local what do you call
City
it, homeowners
councilors,
associations. It's always the pricks that want to be talking to big crowds, want to be creating policy. It's never because the other people. It's a pain in the ass, and we really need good people to step up. All right, let me see if I get through these comments here. Did you see Obama's new movie? No. Book to read that foretold what was to come. Futility, wreck of the Titan. Titanic sunk 10 years later. The Last Jihad, written before. Okay. OKC bombing by Governor Brother. Okay. Let's see. 866 billion for the ADAA. Come on, to spy on Americans. I don't know what that is. Okay, I have no opinion. Just trying to keep up. All right, Mac. Mail-in ballots are stolen from post offices and filled out, then sent in. Okay. Hanging Chad. There was a lot of jokes in those years about hanging Chads, and they were. Let's just say I would ask a few females if they'd like to see my hanging Chad.
oh
Okay,
my god!
you
How
had
did
to
I
punch
know?
because I'm very immature when it's time, and it's and that's usually most of the time. You had to punch the hole, and punch hole paper was the Chad. Okay, I am God. The Chads identify now as Debbie. Okay, smoking CBD, some bunk shiz, cause he hit my stuff. He'd be hacking and choking like a MFer. Why am I reading? I need to read him in my head first.
Wait.
Oh, let me see. All presidents except for one or two, proven by teenage. Oh, that's right. This is true. Some teenage girl did prove this that all presidents are related except one or two of them that have been president of this country, and it was proven
Yeah,
by
it's all
teen.
a dynasty.
That's funny and crazy. It's proven. Gore and Bush admit it. Look it up. Yeah, it's admitted what that they're both skull and bones. Yeah, they both admit it. Absolutely. And that number 322, and he went on all the media saying, "Oh, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win." It's like he knew already. All right, all right, all right. What else we got there? Hitler was the head of the workers' movement. Just saying, blah blah blah. It doesn't mean every
Hitler
worker movement's
co-opted the
bad.
workers' movement for
Okay,
fascist purposes, but yeah.
let's see. I'm 60 and have the time to game now. LOL. Always love them though. Okay, yeah.
Actually,
How do you get the username I am God? That's crazy. Well, go ahead. I'll read while you talk.
thank you. I do want to respond to that person who said that Hitler led the working party in Germany. I no. Hitler co-opted imagery that was associated with workers' movements in Germany. He appropriated some of the language that they used to talk about various problems. But one thing that Hitler did, that the Workers' Party, the various workers' movements, I should say, active in Germany at that time, did not do, is invoke the Jews at every turn for an explanation of why everything was so shitty and fucked up. The union's answer to that was because systems are in place that keep us disempowered, that keep us fucked up. And getting together and organizing will help us overthrow those systems. Hitler co opted that imagery and, in fact, imprisoned millions of trade unionists. It's part of this very. I don't get it. I don't get how these people get to this point and go through the American education system, because one of the things I had to read as a kid, it was in a textbook. It was a very short poem by this famous person. I don't remember who his name was, and I don't even really remember the whole text of the poem, but it's like, first they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak up because I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the gypsies, but I did not speak up because I was not a gypsy. Then they came for the Jews, but I did not speak up because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak up for me. It's not bullshit. It came from what happened in Germany after Hitler came to power. He arrested trade unionists en masse. He arrested gypsies en masse. Well, Roma people. I'm sorry. I'm hey, I shouldn't call Roma people gypsies. It's fucking 2023. Anyway, he put people in the same camps that Jewish people were killed en masse. And yes, they were his primary target. But people like to forget, for whatever reason, that the Holocaust ended millions of lives in Germany for reasons completely unrelated to their religious or ethnic heritage. And Hitler co-opted many of their movements, slogans, language, and just folded it in to his self-contradictory horseshit ideology.
All right, closing statements.
I feel passionately about that.
That's
closing
fine.
statements?
Uh-huh.
I guess that can be mine. Is Hitler was not the fucking head of the workers' fucking movement in Germany or whatever the fuck. Hitler was actually a very middling fucking wannabe politician until he got a couple of really dedicated acolytes around him who happened to actually have some real fucking power and some real Nazi ideas.
He was a psychopathic narcissist. That's for sure.
Right.
All right. I enjoyed it.
Me too.
It was actually fun, even though we weren't going at each other as hard as last time. And this other Fulmer guy, I'd like to have you on.
I'd watch.
One thing I'll say about Israel and the United States, they share the same policies. We're colonialists, they're colonialists. They start wars with other countries, we start wars with other. They occupy other countries, we occupy other countries. But the thing you'll notice in this country, most people, is that Israel and the police in America share something big. You're not allowed to talk bad about either one of them.
And I think that's a perfect fucking place to close it. Yep, because that is precisely that is a very precise analysis of the stated conditions that we are in now.
Thanks, Phoebe.
Thanks, John. I love having you.
Some people were busting your balls in the comments, whatever, though, right?
Hey, that's fucking no hair off my back.
They're gonna make a hair off your back joke now. You know that, right?
Oh yeah, of course. That's why I said it. I mean, I love giving the trolls fodder. No, dude, you don't even get it. I live for this shit for sure.
Oh, I live for insult comments. When someone hits me with a good insult, it tickles me to the bone.
It does me too, dude. It's fucking, and you know what? Even at the end of the day, if it's a shitty one, it's all engagement. Fucking hit the monkey button. Fucking put your comment in there. Put more comments about how I'm a horrible tranny that's corrupting the kids or whatever. Do more. It'll get John's views up.
What had killed me a few years ago when I worked at the casino, I went up to the cashier. I think I just said hello or something, and he said, "Shut your whore mouth."
What the fuck?
I laughed for a half hour.
Dude, I would die. I'd be like, I don't need no gas. Listen, you having a bad day? I'm gone. You're good.
I love that. I love stuff like that. All right, Phoebes, thank you. I'll see you. We'll plan another one for later on this next year.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I'll see you. All right, there's Phoebe, guys. Good person. You should watch our last debate. It's night and day. All right, guys. Thank you so much. People keep asking what the topics were. Let's see. The topics were Israel, Palestine, police unions, civil asset forfeiture, elections, election rigging, fair elections, Skull and Bones, Bohemian Grove, Illuminati, Christian identity. Other than that, not much. Hi, Dale. Hi, Blind Straight. No, you're not banned. I hope you're not banned. I haven't banned anybody. All right, guys, I'm leaving. Sorry if you just got here. Check out the live stream. It was fun. It was good. It wasn't bad. Something to do, something to say, something to talk about. A little progress. All right. That's funny, William. That's funny. Everybody have a good night, man. I appreciate you more than you know. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for supporting me. Thanks for everything you've done for me. Without you, there is no me. I almost said it the other way around. See you guys. I can't thank you enough. Bye.